If you know something, but you don't have the information to make it work yet, it's just knowledge. However, once you use that knowledge, whether you fail or succeed, it is wisdom because you now have experience. So maybe we have to change our view on failure. Welcome to Kat's Christian Life. So thank you so much for tapping into this video. If you are new, please do hit that subscribe button and the thumbs up as well. I hope you enjoyed this video, and you can find more videos like this in my playlist called Jesus Journey Messages. And then if you are a already subscribed person, thank you so much for supporting this channel. Thank you for supporting, and I hope that you can tap that thumbs up button so that this algorithm can share these videos and that the word can get to way more people. So thank you so much, guys, for tapping in. Let's get into it. So do you ever fail at something and feel like the world has actually completely ended? Like if you fail a class or if you fail a lecture, it really feels like things are all crashing down, right? It seems that in some places in our lives, we take failure more seriously than in others, right? So what an example would make of this is like if you're playing a video game. If you're playing a video game and you die and you can't get past a certain level during the first or second try, you won't crash out because you know that it doesn't really have a bearing. You always have the chance to get up and go again. But why do we view our failures in other parts of life differently? Why do we see them as a stop sign? Because in essence, it is the same thing, right? So if you fail in life, you now know what that failure looks like and you know what mistakes you made and how you can push past it. And so you have the chance once again to succeed in the next try or to at least get better. So I've heard of this, notion of viewing life as a video game in my first year of university. And I really needed it because in first year of university, you will okay, I'm not saying everyone will go through this, but you will find that tests are harder, keeping up with stuff is harder. And so I did fail a few tests, failed a few things here and there. But although it hit very hard, you can still manage to get back up again. And I heard someone say that you should view failure as like a step. So think about it, if you're trying to get to the top of a tower, right? You have these steps that's like things you've learned along the way that is helping you get to that end goal or that top of the tower. And so once you fail, like what I said in the beginning, right? So the knowledge you have turns into wisdom because you have that experience. So that failure is just an experience, right? So it becomes a step for you to step on it because you now know something new that you didn't know before. So how do we get to, viewing failure differently to actually seeing failure as a form of wisdom? So the first thing that we have to understand is that succeeding has to do with hard work. So when you were younger, it's very easy, in school to be like, oh, I pass very easily because I'm smart. Oh, things come easily to me because I'm talented. Or I dance like this because I'm talented. When really it has to do with hard work. Getting to any type of success in life, you have to work for it. You have to push through, do some things that you're not good at that you have to learn more about. And so you are due to fail in one of those tries, right? Because you're trying to get to something new. And so success is gained once we push past these trials and doubt, which will then allow us to, achieve our main goal. And if you were never to fail, then you won't know how to fail. And so you won't know how not to fail. Okay. So if you are, let's say, trying to jump over a very humongous box, or you're trying to start hurdling for the first time. I don't know why my voice is leaving. So if you were trying to get into doing hurdles for the very first time, trying a new hobby, right? Or, okay, crocheting, I love crocheting as well. But if you are trying to do these things, if you don't know how high you have to jump to do the hurdle so that your leg doesn't hit the bar, then you won't know how not to hit the bar, right? Because you're trying to get over the bar. So if you jump a certain height the first time and your legs hit the bar, now you know, okay, when I jump like that, my legs hit the bar. And so in your next try, you're going to do better because you've now identified the problem, you've identified the factors that can make you fail, and so you are launching towards that success because you've learned something new, you've gained wisdom on the situation. There is no way to get to a point where you are, succeeding and you have gained wisdom and you have never failed. Right? All the greatest stories of people who are fully successful have like a million failures that go before them. And so think about it, for every failure, you get another lesson. And so you gain another success for every one of those failures, isn't it? And then lastly, with failure, with viewing failure as more of wisdom than as something that is just, ruining your life, you have to remember that with Christ, you will always succeed. But that success that you are trying to, get to might not look the way you wanted it to look. You might be obedient and expecting this one type of win or this one type of success, but then you gain the success in like a different way. Because here's the truth, either way, even if God, it's making you succeed in certain areas of life, he won't always use the same route for you to succeed. Okay, it won't always be the same process, because with every process you'll learn something new. And so what will push you to actually reaching that success is by ensuring that you have this constant faith. Because once you have this constant faith, it opens your eyes for you to be able to see, once the blessing has come, once the victory has come, your eyes are open enough for you to see it actually come. And so we have to throw away these expectations of what we think that success will look like, what we think God's blueprint or his timeline looks like for us. And we have to submit our will, our lives to God, so that he can show us these successes even when we didn't see it coming, right? And successes, like surprises, are way nicer than when you know something is coming. So you might not expect something to come a certain way, but if your eyes are open to it, if your eyes are open to seeing the new thing that God is doing in your life, then you will definitely see that success when it does come. Okay, so I just wanted to share this with you guys today. It's just a short little video, but I wanted to share this with you guys because I feel like a lot of the time nowadays when we fail at something, it's almost like you want to pivot right after failing, or you want to, give up, try something new, or go back to what you were good at. But what I find is that this stops you from actually experiencing a lot of parts of life, because, people will say you can't start ballet if you're old. You can't start playing an instrument if you are older than this age. You have to have started when you were young. If you didn't start when you were young and you want to do it now, I say start now, right? So we only have this one life that we are living. And if we don't take the chances to go through and learn those new things, then we won't have that fulfillment that we're supposed to gain, right? If you are feeling drawn to something, you should be looking at having, the courage to actually work it out and make it happen, right? But a lot of the time, what stops us from trying these new things, from getting into the new spaces, is because we are scared of failing. But there is no way that you can actually reach the top and succeed without that failure. So remember, once you just know something, that's the knowledge you have stored up in your brain. But once you have used that knowledge, whether you take a little fall at one point, or you saw and things go all well, you have the wisdom because the experience is what you need to do. We need to stop being passive about the things we want in our lives, the changes we want to make, the things we want to learn, or just get out there and see. And we have to be active by actually actioning something. Someone who hasn't tried at all at a task can easily get a zero because there's nothing for me there to see. But if you have at least tried, whether you failed or succeeded, you are way better than the other person who just did not try at all because they were too scared. And I'm thinking about the story of the king that gives the gold coins to the servants, and one of them goes and invests the money, right? And he goes and invests this money in a place and comes back with a bit more money. And the king was happy because he took a risk. He took that money and made something of it and ended up actually getting a good result. And then there was the other guy who, I think he spent all the money, right? And well, he used it. What can we say? He did something with the money, right? Didn't do the plan that would be ideal, but he did something with the money. And then there was a servant who was so fearful that he just dug a hole and buried this money because he was scared to try anything new, scared of failing and losing the money. And he didn't gain anything from the experience at all. And they said, "You evil servant," right? They were like, "You are the worst of them all," because he didn't do anything. And he just let the fear of failing stop him. Because if you have that optimism of success at some point of whatever journey you're on, it is something that will keep you going. But you have to understand that in that road of success, it's not only going to be wins, 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 wins. There is the possibility of failing. And that failure should be accepted with open arms because you are gaining wisdom. Once you fail, you won't fail in the same way again because you can change things now. You know how that failure happened, right? So don't be the servant who is burying the money and closing it up because you were scared that, oh, what if I blow it? What if I don't do this? What if it doesn't work out? That is being very passive because all you're doing is overthinking. You're not actually taking action. Don't be the servant either that just spends everything without thinking first, right? There has to be a middle line. You have to have a middle space where you can see the plan or the kind of idea that you're trying to get to so that you don't end up pushing yourself towards failure, right? But be that servant that is, whatever happens in the end, be the servant that takes the risk and does something that actually has an action. Don't passively think about things or overthink things or, be too scared to even try because then you will just get a zero. And you don't want to be getting zero in your own life. You have to push to learn new things. You have to push to get yourself out there. And remember that if Christ is with you, you will succeed. Maybe not the first time, maybe not the second time, maybe not the third time. But at some point, once you have learned everything, you will realize that those things you learned in the background made you the person that you are today, the person that is able to hold and to actually bear the success it's going to give you, right? These are all lessons we have to learn. In order for a bag to become durable and in order for people to know that, this bag is durable, they have to test it with the heavy things and they have to test to see if it's going to break or not. And at the end of those tests, guess what? That bag is going to be very durable because the people will know what makes the bag tear and what doesn't. And they're going to figure out how to make it the best possible product that they can. So don't take failing as the bomb and, it just stops everything in life. Start seeing it as wisdom. Start getting on it and taking actions. Sometimes you fail and it's funny. Sometimes you fail and it's not funny for the first few, minutes of it. But once you reach that success, you're going to be so happy because the reward is way more than that struggle. It weighs way more than that struggle. Okay. So let's start viewing failure differently. Let's start using life as a video game so that we can actually live to the fullest. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for engaging with my content. Yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful week going further. Please do hit that subscribe if you haven't yet and share this video to anyone who you think needs to hear it. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.